hear me fine? Fine? Okay, great. Those of you that attended the prior session, are you feeling some emotions already? Or no? Okay, great. I won't ask what they are, but you're feeling something, right? Okay. Those that did not attend the session but just walked in, are you feeling any emotions also? Excitement. And what the hell is this guy going to talk? I was walking from here over, and two ladies were taking photos. They didn't know I was a speaker. One was asking, let's see if that guy can control his emotions. And I was right next. And luckily the woman didn't ask me only, Tere ko kya lagta hai wo kamina and all that. Luckily I was saved. So it's always good to be in this situation. So I'm going to talk about how to make your emotions. I am a mental wellness researcher from the university I studied in the US. Why did I do that thing? Why did I research that area? I'll talk about through questions. What's an emotions? Excitement, somebody mentioned, so I don't need to talk about. Is there anyone who doesn't know what is an emotion? What is emotion? We don't have to go philosophical, Emotion kya hai? It's okay, everybody has it. Don't worry about that actually. This is simply an emotion, and we removed all the animations from it to avoid making it complicated. Right is the brain, that all of us have right brain. Some are looking like that. You also, everybody has it. So whatever we see, hear, feel, smell goes to a central region of the brain. I will not tell you names and all. As a researcher, I know the names, but they go central region of the brain. For you also. Everyone is the same. So on that, don't worry, gender. There's no gender there. Everybody works. This central region of the brain, its responsibility is to figure out two things. You, me, everyone in the world, regardless of countries. The first is, whatever is happening, is there pain, worry, or something that I don't like? The first is that. The second is what I like. For example, you are listening to me right now. How many are awake? Okay. If you are asleep, don't worry about it. Then you are in the safe zone anyway. If you are listening to me, then whatever you are listening goes to the central zone. The first question your brain asks you without you knowing is, whatever this guy is talking, is it painful, is it fearful, or is there something that I don't like? Any of the areas you don't like a food, somebody finger points you, etc. Somebody plays favorites and you are not the favorite. Two friends get together and you feel excluded. You are at a dinner table, everything is going fine, but you're feeling other people are going away from you. And you look at a weighing scale. It is not telling you what you would like to see. Or you're on the road and, or whatever, dog barking, any of these things. Or if you're in the corporate world, that also happens sometimes. Somebody looks down at you, male, female, doesn't matter, whichever way it is. If any of these happen, the first thing your brain automatically does inside, this is quick. 1/20th of a second, that's fast. That is really, really fast. 1/20th of a second is 1 second. So I won't talk about that. If any of these happen, your brain generates chemicals to determine, I want to avoid this situation. I want to avoid this manager. Let me avoid these friends. You can't avoid the weighing scale, but all the others you can avoid actually. How do you avoid if the person is a manager? You're in the room. You look down, you look to the side. Anyone experience some of these kinds of things? These are signs of avoiding. You have to avoid because you can't take it anymore. A negative performance review. This is a season of performance reviews actually. Yesterday I was at a session and a boss asked me a question. I want to give a constructive feedback to a person. I didn't know that guy was the boss, but I got the message. 20 minutes later, that person's junior met me, not knowing the boss had met me, and said, if the boss gives me constructive feedback, how do I respond? I was in a complicated situation because I had just spoken on this side. Anyway, answer the question. So this is the first thing that happens. If this goes well, then the brain goes to the second part. If nothing is, so you are also reacting right now like this. Is there anything this guy is talking that you are not liking? How do I know that? Your eyes will turn away from me first. Automatic. You can't change it. Because you can't take it anymore, what this guy is talking. Suppose you feel, what he's talking, there's no pain so far. Then you will say, okay, what's next? And then you will go into this zone. then you look at what's liking, cakes or food or whatever be the case. There's a nice party, you like pets, you're lazing around on a Saturday, Sunday, or maybe right now in the chair itself, also okay. You hearing music, perfume, outings, all of these things. Do some of you people like some of these things? Some people didn't raise hand earlier and now. So you don't like and dislike both, is it? Okay, great. So if this is the case, then you feel happy. You like it, right? You like it and all that. At this point, your brain says, let's attract this more. For example, if what I am saying is something you're liking, you attract more. Attract means what? I will not come close. Attract means, what's next? It looks okay to me. This is called natural attraction and all that. This is what you're doing 24 hours a day from the time you're born, roughly 2 years of age onwards, until now, until whatever time you live on earth. This is not changeable genetically. This has not changed for 200 years. What do I like? Not like. Like, not like. Every moment. You're walking, same. You are sensing, event, meeting, conference, personal life, everywhere. Like, not like. And then what happens? Suppose you don't like, I'll go one step further. Your brain generates 3 emotional reactions. Either you will freeze, fight, or flight if you don't like. And if you're happy, you will express liking or love. You will express surprise and you will express happiness. Some of you will say, what about shame and all? I'll come to that. These are the primary ones. You are capable of generating only 3 emotions. For example, you don't like a performance review. Okay, I'll change the example. This is a dangerous time. You don't like what I'm talking right now. That might be a little better. 3 things will happen. You will freeze in the chair, sweating, worrying. You don't know what to talk, lost. This is called freezing. No reaction. You can't do anymore. Or you will give it back to the other person. Chodunga nahi main tujhe. All that is, you don't beat back. Some people also physically beat back. And the prior speaker spoke about the strength of a male and all that. That's fighting. Inappropriate reaction doesn't work. Or you run away. How do you run away? I want to go to the restroom. Also for natural reasons, but sometimes unnatural also. I want to get out of this situation. Or you walk out or whatever be the case, etc. Lot of you all are standing. It's painful to stand. There are some chairs here. Why do you want to go through painful emotions? At least some pleasing. Oh, there's no place anymore. Sorry, no options. Continue to stand actually then. I can't. I'm also standing. Stand with me. So somebody is also supporting me. Okay, these. On this side, you will generate this. This is what is happening 24 hours a day. Now, what happens after some time? After the primary emotion sudden, you go to secondary emotion. I'll go back to the prior slide. Fight, flight. When you're frozen, it's called sadness. When you're fighting, it's called anger. When you're running away, it's called fear. These are English words invented by us. Inside your brain, there is no English. Anybody doubts it? Some are not happy with that, okay. There is no language in the brain. Inside the brain, you are an object of chemistry, that's all. If you didn't study also, you're still chemistry. Nothing but chemicals. One chemical goes up, anger. Another goes down, sadness. Another goes up, this is it. And they're primarily into 3. I didn't have time, so I did not cover this, but in longer sessions, I cover those kinds of topics. So then, inner one are the primary emotions. Outer ones are slightly nuanced versions of that. Nuance, a little more deeper version. I am feeling angry. No, I'm not feeling just angry, irritable. I am feeling annoyed or frustrated or whatever be the case. Those are more advanced English words that we have invented. Those are not brain. There's nothing to do with that. Your brain hardly understands what those advanced words are. It only understands chemicals go up or down. Okay. So what's an emotion so far? It's a feeling that shows something right or wrong. Are you with me so far? Or you are somewhere else. 2 saal pehle that guy said something. What was mine? Don't go there. We'll first be here. Okay, then we'll go wherever we need to go. Negative emotions are 10 times faster than positive emotions. We are creatures of negative emotions. Some of you, if you're feeling, why do I feel negative? Relax. You are like us. Relax. You should be relieved if you're feeling negative emotions. If you're not feeling, you should be more worried. You're not natural. So if you're feeling, don't worry. You're just like you and me. All of us are same, etc. Don't worry about that. Okay, great. Most important takeaway so far. Emotions are natural. A lot of people are resisting. I should not cry. Something is bad. You are born with those. Why are you rejecting what you're born with? It's a natural thing given. So don't worry. And it helps us react to the world. Now, I'll go to this slide. If there were animation, it would have been better, but let me go back to the prior slide, etc. So how are you supposed to react to emotions? Emotions are just telling you, don't do this, do that. Are you with me so far? Okay. Normally means 200 years ago, 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago also, and all that, there was a standard way people used to react. What was the way they used to react? If there was anger, beat the person up in front, males, females also. Because human beings lived in caves 1000 years ago. Even 150 years ago also, males used to beat up females. And males used to be physical. It's not tolerated in today's world. What would females do? Higher person beats the lower. Hierarchy. Not India, everywhere in the world, standard. So you released it. The lowest hierarchy woman would do what? Beat up the child. Further down the hierarchy. This is how we all were. Don't try to say that we are not like this. Our ancestors were all like this. This is all we were born. Now, in today's corporate world, can you do like this? Performance review. You don't like it. You know, has anyone done that? I don't think you would be in the corporate world if you did that actually. It would land you. So you can't do that, right? You can't beat up people. Then what to do? We are all born with some emotions. You have to do something. You can't react it. So we humans are the only animals on earth so far has invented a new technique called civilization. And civilization has taught us something funny for which our brains are not created. What is it created? I can't give back to this individual. I'm just picking on you. Let's say, I'm not going to beat you, whatever be the case. I don't like, I want to beat, but I can't do that. So what do? You convert it into thoughts internally and then keep thinking about it, etc. Only humans can do this funny thing. Your emotions are expected to be acted upon, you don't. So what do? Maybe that guy was not. Yes, no, probably not. Certainly. This is a human invention, ingenuity. You couldn't do anything with the emotion, so you started overthinking about it. And now you think, and that goes in a different direction. Let's say somebody said something. It was basic frustration. You thought more, it became irritation. You thought more, impatience, doubt, anger, hatred. It becomes bigger. How many have overthought? If you're not raising your hand, you didn't know yourself. There is no way on earth. Some people overthink for hours, some for days, some for months. There is no one in the world who is not guilty of overthinking. Yes, no. Talk for the other person if you don't want to talk for yourself. That guy is like that. The other person will talk about you, so that way everything is covered actually. Soon what started as a green emotion becomes worse and it's a downward spiral. If it continues for some more time, you can't sleep. How many felt sleep also gets impacted if you're in negative emotions? One person raised very quickly actually. I appreciate that. Why? What has sleep got to do with emotions? Yes. Sleeping is generated by two chemicals that I'll not name. Brain, by the way, has got very complex names inside the brain. I'll give you one example. The part of the brain right behind the forehead that is helping you think as I'm talking right now is called dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. What a complex name. Your own name now looks much better, right? Like my surname is Jamal Madka. Nobody could pronounce it in the US. I felt better after seeing the brain names. My external name is not so bad actually. Anyway, so you think. The chemical responsible for sleep is less powerful than negative emotions. A negative emotion like anger is so powerful, it can kill the brain chemical for sleep. You can't sleep anymore. And now you think. And sometimes your physical weight is less than your brain weight. You know what I'm saying? Not on the scale. Don't check on the scale. Jada hai, matlab, it must be brain, I'm happy. No. That you have to reduce. But what I meant is overthinking. Sometimes do you feel like that? Heavy, I'm feeling heavy. How many feel like that? You feel that, right? That heaviness is not something shown on the scale, but you feel it, etc. And then you get into overthinking. At this point, mental wellness goes away. You can measure physical wellness, BP machine and all of those. You know what I'm saying? Blood pressure. Someone looking, what is blood pressure? There is a gadget you can strap and then it. There's a gadget, 120/80 means you are physically well. Are you mentally well right now? Do you know? You don't know, you can't measure it. You can't strap something. You can measure it if you know the chemicals. How do you do that? You can't drill a hole. मैं ही देखता हूँ. Then there's no life left. Why do you need to know that actually? You can't do that actually. This is the problem with mental wellness and emotions. You don't know when they go out of control. How do you avoid this spiral? So what we said, we were born in a certain way. We are supposed to use it. We have changed the way of using into thinking instead of acting. And now they are starting to impact us. With me so far, not with me. How many with me? Legs are paining a lot for those standing? Okay, great. Don't worry, mine are also, so you can say yes actually. Don't worry about that actually. Okay, so how do we prevent this cycle? Or how do we do something better than this one? How do we not beat the boss, but also ensure we get our way out? So let's talk a little bit about that actually. I'm seeing that when I'm using boss, there's more happiness. I'm a boss myself, so a little bit worried, but I also have one actually. So, okay, this is the most important slide. Hang on a second, hear me out very carefully. Emotions are not food to be consumed. When you eat a cake, every morsel, it's nice. Emotions are not that. They are like chemicals. A hammer is not something to be injured. I will do it one more. That's not. You use it, hammer, move. Yes, no. Our emotions are meant to be tools that God gave us, nature gave us. We are starting to do left side, we should be doing right side. This is the most, if you know this slide, then we don't need anything more. Somebody's unhappy? With you. With you, I think, not me. You should be, okay, you're happy now? You're smiling, so I don't know what it means actually. Okay, great. So, there are tools to be used. Now, how do you use these tools and all that? This is a 4-box thing. I'll talk about it very, very quickly. This part is not so important. The earlier part is important. If you did not know the earlier, the latter doesn't matter. So, before we proceed, emotions are natural. Emotions are good tools to have, bad food to consume. Emotions are not meant to be converted to thinking. These are two separate things. With me, not with me so far? Okay, great. Okay. One guy met me when I was speaking in another country, and I'm very excited after your session. I said, "Oh, you learned some new technique?" He said, "No, I've never thought in my life." Thank you. I said, no, you also need to think. And that guy was losing his job all the time, but I didn't tell him anything after that. I didn't mean stop thinking. I meant don't convert emotions, so that way you can, don't misunderstand. Okay, so this is the 4-box cell. I'll talk about this one a little bit. For the first one is identifying the emotions. This is the most difficult thing. If you identify an emotion, it's easy. If you don't identify, it's difficult. Some of you will say, what's so difficult in that? I'll give one example. Emotions are like this. You see the signal outside? Red means you're supposed to stop. It is not happening on our roads actually. But in a normal state of affairs, they're supposed to. You're supposed to act like that. Now, what's so difficult in understanding emotions? I'll give you anger as one example. If you're feeling angry, you're not feeling angry actually. No, that's wrong. Anger means that's on the surface. Below that, either you're hurt or you're afraid. One of these has happened, causing that feeling that you use English word for. Below that, there's something else. You understand what I'm saying? I'm angry because the guy said something. No. Below that, I had an expectation of the person of respect and so on. It goes down actually. Understanding the bottom is important because the top depends on the bottom. Sorry, somebody saying something? Unlike the prior speaker who could not hear with the right ear, I can hear with both and little more also. So I could hear what's happening a little further. So any questions so far? I will take questions a little bit later. Okay, so you need to know the underlying emotion. If you can't identify what's happening, you can't solve the problem. What gets measured gets fixed actually. So you need to identify. Once you identify, you need to release it. Now, every one of us is born with one strong sense organ. Eyes, ears, nose, etc. One. Which one is it? Experiment and you get to know. You need to figure this out. It's not the same as your mother, your father, your kid, your sister, brother. No, it's unique for you. This is the only known way to release emotions is this. Scientific research shows. If you're an eye person, see videos, read. Don't do it if you're not an eye person. Your stress will increase. This is the mistake people make. I read it, my stress went down. Other person also starts reading. Uska badh gaya. Because you're not an eye person, you shouldn't be doing it. Don't copycat. In exams, you're copied a lot. Don't do it in life. Reading reduces stress by this much. For whom? Yeah, for the ear people, it's the opposite. Okay, what happens to the, there's also something like this for those that are mouth people, etc. How many are mouth people? How many like to talk like me? Chodunga nahi, all that kind of thing. If you're in that category, then some of these work. Going to a mentor, speaking, going to religious institutions. By the way, in the US, they invented this. I was in Switzerland last week. Anti-scream box means if you're angry, you can scream into the box and give all the cursing language. They discovered the stress goes down by 90%. I have not used it. If you're asking me, tell me your example, and I didn't use it actually, but it's good. Or you can write down, etc. This is if you're a mouth person. There are 3 important rules in life. Mentor, sponsor, 3 a.m. friend. Please cultivate a 3 a.m. friend for yourself if you haven't one already. This is someone you can speak non-judgmentally, and the person always will take your side. You are right. Very important rule. Very important rule. No, don't take it lightly. Everyone needs someone who's on their side. Yes, no. Everyone. Don't worry. If somebody tells you, no, I'm telling you it's important. Fine, but just get the right person, not the wrong person actually. Okay, then you can use ears, meditation and all that. If you're a body person, massages work, all of these kinds of things. If you're a hands person, gardening, cooking, all of those work. If you're a nose person, breathing, candles, all of those work. If you're a taste person, cooking, drinking, all of those work. And don't ignore sleep. The most important way by which you reduce stress is sleep. This is what happens during a sleep state. So that's the background to it. I'll answer deeper questions later. That was the first part was more important for you to understand actually. Sense organs, one of them is important. Use that. With me so far? Good. So I'm at the end since I had 20 minutes. Thank you so much for listening in to me. I hope you find benefit. Deeper questions, I'm outside. We will take your questions one by one after the session is over. Thank you.
So much energy to match, Rajat. Thank you so much for that wonderful session.
Thank you.
How's everyone feeling after this session? What's the emotion right now? Happy. Thank you for making all of us laugh. I think that's so important,
Thank you.
right? The skill.
Even if one person felt happy, that itself good, but all of you felt happy, even better. Clap for yourself, actually.
Okay, just a quick show of hands. How many of us are from the corporate world? Oh my God, that's almost the entire
Boss.
room, right? Okay, I'm going to share a little story with you folks. So my daughter's studying in the US, and she has a boyfriend, and her boyfriend is doing his master's, and he got a job in a daycare. Now, daycare in the US is kids between 3 to 5 years, and he was very happy because as a boy, he, very excitedly, he said, Auntie, I got a job in a daycare. Now, one of the examples that he shared was very important to me because as, kids in the US, as they walk into daycare, they all have an activity to do. So they actually pick up an emotion, a card, which is kept in the table. They pick it up. The emotion could be, happy, sad, angry, so on and so forth. And they take the card and actually put it up in the board so that the teacher and people around them, they actually know what the emotion they are going through on that day, right? So, Raja, tell me, according to you, do you think is this something that we can try in corporate India of if any of us can actually walk into the office and actually say that, hey, I'm actually feeling angry, sad, and so on and so forth? What are your perspectives?
No, I absolutely agree with the first things first. I think happy to see your, he's in a daycare and all that. Daycare is associated with women, not at all. So first things first, thank you for that. The exercise that he's trying is fantastic. It can work also in the corporate world for the vast majority. Those that are not in corporate also, it can work very well. Because sometimes when you just experience an emotion, you live it. Sometimes when you try to live an emotion, you experience it. When you live an emotion, you just experience it, which means when you try to say I'm happy and then live it, fake it till you make it. In less than 10 seconds, you start feeling happy also. So yes, wonderful, that exercise is good. Luckily, person is doing on kids who are listening. Sometimes adults don't listen, but if there's an exercise, please do it in your organizations.
So if you were my boss and I come and tell you that, hey, I'm sad today, would you be okay with it?
Boss, I'm already afraid. But then yes, if I were to be, yes, I have no concerns with this one actually. In fact, I encourage people to open up about emotions. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a tool. So no reason why we should not be accepting.
So Raja, before your session, I was actually reading up on you, and one of the videos that I bumped on, it actually said that the decisions, that 100% of the decisions that we make in our life is emotionally driven. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, there is no decision that we have made in our life, including right now, that we don't make emotionally, even though we say logically. For example, sometimes we go to a coffee shop and then we say, I don't like this coffee. Actually, the coffee shop's internals might have been painted with red color or something, and our memory 10 years ago had some red color associated with something negative. Emotionally, we made the decision, I don't want this coffee. But you can't tell, I didn't drink coffee because of red color. It looks too funny. So the logical part of the brain jumps in, converts and says, this is not my cup. I don't like this coffee. This brand I don't like. You have given a logical explanation for an emotional decision. This is in every field, all time in my life, all time in everyone's life. So yes, every decision we make are emotional. We are 100% emotional creatures that explain life using logically to make sense of life.
Thank you so much for sharing. A lot that we hear in the organization today is about mental wellness, emotional intelligence, and so on and so forth. So, is that an important skill for all of us here to build?
Yeah, very much so. It's the most important skill. I mean, how many want to be unhappy? Nobody wants to be. I mean, how many want to overthink to such an extent that next morning you're tired and you're feeling? Nobody wants to be. It's a skill to learn, because emotional intelligence and mental wellness are required. And now there's renewed focus in the corporate world and otherwise. So this is a critical skill, mastering some of, I mean, I made a lot of fun with jokes and all that just to keep you engaged, but not to take away from the seriousness of a topic of mental wellness. So my view, these are vital topics everybody needs to focus on, which is also why I'm getting invited to speak at so many organizations every day, because these topics are relevant actually.
Give us an example of an emotional um, instance in your life which actually impacted something to do at work, and how did you deal with it? And what were your learnings from that? It's a personal example from your side.
So 15 years ago, this is 2024. Yeah, so 15 years ago, I was doing my second startup. I also did a startup 24 years ago, but 15 years ago, I did another one. I was working 17 hours a day, 7 days. Startups don't, there's not a lot of money and all that. You don't get paid. Money is not scarce. Working. About 6 or 7 months in, I stopped enjoying the work. This is surprising for someone like me. I started the organization. No more enjoying, no more fun. I was not able to enjoy with my kids. There's nothing. Everything was lost. So I didn't know what was happening. I was under a lot of emotions and I didn't know any of these topics. I didn't know how to deal with it. Eventually, things didn't work very well. We had to get into a distress sale of the startup, which means I lost the money for myself, investors, everyone, and then went to the US for management, branched out to neurosciences. And that's how I studied the brain. Last 15 years, I'm still researching the brain. The organ has been good to me. I've been good to it. I like that one. Now, at that time, this was the worst decision I could have made. But today, 15 years later, I think it was the best thing that happened to me. So those emotions at that time, if I knew I could have released that startup, would have been a super success, because the ones that purchased it made a big success of it. They made the money, I did not. Now, money is not the only thing, but that was an important thing. So this is an example of how emotions didn't work for me. But thankfully, I converted then later into something which is now working well for me, that I'm able to speak on these topics and research and use it for my own life. And whoever those two ladies are, if you are here, wo khud kya karta hai, I am using what I'm talking also actually. So don't worry about it.
All right, next question is difficult workplaces, and we all have, faced it, day and out. So, what's your advice in terms of how we manage or balance our emotion during a situation like that?
First is to, I don't mean that you should keep changing your jobs every day, otherwise every day you will be changing, etc. The good part is learning to adapt to that. So once you learn to identify the emotions that you're feeling on a periodic basis, and then determine or cultivate in yourself the releasing perspectives, you will start finding the places not as difficult as you're thinking it is actually. Remember, 50% of what you experience is because of you. 50% is also because the external. External is not 100%. Internal contribute. That's why the same situation in life has a different impact on two different people. If you can manage your 50%, the other 50% is taken care of by itself. So this session is not talking about outside, it's talking about inside us actually. So I'm making a case, if you can take care of your 50, that difficult workplace need not necessarily stay difficult. If it's still abusive, separate discussion. That is just moving on is the right thing.
Sure, just adding on the slide that you had on anger, right? When we feel angry, we like really want to flip the table. So how do you think I can actually convert that situation into something positive?
I'll give you an example. A few years back, we had a speaker who was speaking like this, and one of the members from the audience asked what I would call a very embarrassing question, not appropriate for the corporate context. I won't go into what the question was. This was disturbing for the speaker who, I don't know what happened. The speaker simply walked like this for about 15 seconds, pondering on the question, and then after about 15 seconds gave an answer which was right answer, or corporate-wise right answer. Things were done, whatever be the case, the session was done. And then I met that individual. The individual said, I was extremely angry. If I did not release, I would have given it back in a rough language to the person. The entire talk would have got damaged, audience would have got disturbed. Yes or no? This individual learned a skill and then ensured that the person released it. Here is the important thing. The person did not forget the anger. The sting in the anger went away. Sting. The anger still remained. Person went back to the audience person and said, I don't think this is the way you're supposed to ask, and gave it back, but in a nicer language. The individual apologized. This is different from, you are useless, right, on the stage, etc. And everybody's anger. The person says, no, I'm not useless, whatever. It would have become filthy. So the person still used emotion, anger, but without the sting in the emotion. I like this example, and I hope nobody has an embarrassing question to me, but what I meant to say is, this is how you use anger in other areas also. On the spur of the moment, reaction will destroy. Releasing it, but don't forget it. Release it in the right way and then speak to the individual, works wonders actually.
Yeah, so Raja, just building on the anger, right? Anger sometimes also results in shame. Like, hey, I felt shameful today at workplace because I was not proud of myself for an incident that happened. So do you have any, tips for us in terms of how we can manage shame?
Yeah. Anger is emotion directed outward. Shame is emotion directed inward. Because you curse yourself. What did I do? Why did I do? Why this, etc. You're killing yourself instead of killing the other person. Neither of the two is constructive any which way whatsoever. First, recognizing that this is how it is very, very important. That probably I'm feeling like this, and largely shame also comes when external people are there. Think about it. If you are alone in your own place, you won't feel shame. So shame happens when you see and think about what the other people think about you. You will be surprised to know most people think only about themselves. They are least interested in you, although you are interested in yourself. For example, so much time in the tie and all that. How many saw my tie also? How many saw my face also first, which is not, by the way, very attractive. But everyone here came for themselves. You and you wanted to be well. Yes or no? Most of the times, don't feel shame. People don't want to know anything about you. You beat yourself for something you do not beat actually. And then, of course, releasing techniques work like anything. So large parts is misunderstanding is how I look at it.
Sure, if no one watched his tie now everybody's eyes is on his tie. Anyway, anger, shame, like just moving on to another emotion, which is compassion. So, compassion is an important leadership skills. Is it a strength or a weakness?
No, I think it's a very, very big strength. We don't need to go further. We are in Bangalore city. We have the great Mr. Murthy. And I don't want to get into those hours of week and all that. Please don't, quickly, I don't want to get dragged into. But years ago, there was a major contract his organization was vying for versus his competition, which also I'll not name in this meeting. This was a big contract, critical in 1990s. The contract would have made or broken Infosys Technologies. It's a great story. And then the meeting went and all that. And in the meeting, he concluded that if I take this contract from this, outside of some unethical things, this manager wants servants. He would, this is a company, not Indian, different country, would treat people any which way, talk anything, treat people like secretaries, and then treat people like filth. He concluded there's no compassion in this one. I don't want this contract. Against the entire board, which said, no, we need it. It's a hugely profitable one. He made the decision, a lot of frustration in the board. Contract went to the competitor. A year later, the contract was terminated. People couldn't take it. There was too much burnout. It came back to Infosys. His compassion for his people superseded the financial merits of the contract. Does it work? This is corporate example I'm giving. It works everywhere. So taking a small moment to recognize that one person in the corner who's going through a bad day for just 5 minutes does wonders both for that person and for you also actually. So compassion works and it's extremely important.
Sure, I'm just going to segue into a few rapid fire questions and I'm going to open it up for the audience to ask. Maybe 2-3 questions I'm going to take. So Raja, just from your personal, yeah, I'll come to you. Just your personal feeling, right? We spoke about food and music. So what are the emotions that you go through when I say food or music?
Food, excitement because my wife is a foodie and you recognize the importance of food. So I'm a foodie myself. I often travel to another city if there's a food festival. So very, very excited. But there could be people completely uninterested in it. It's very fulfilling for me. I feel a sense of satiation when I go through the food thing. Music, I'm not a huge music guy. It has no impact on me. Probably has an irritating impact also on me. So but if you're a music person, just listen to the music. It has a soothing impact and all that. So those are the impacts that it has on me.
Sure. How do you recover from an emotional outburst?
Lots of techniques. One simple that I use and you can is clench your fist and keep pressing it. The blood flow here takes the blood away from the brain. In about 5 seconds, you'll be able to recover actually. I've used it and it works for me.
Okay. Who is your 3 a.m. friend?
I do have one. I have one in the US, luckily, because at 3 a.m. night, that guy is going away. So I don't mean you should do this. I talk anything and I have never had to think when opening up. The person takes it right and then no problems. It can be from any gender. In my case, it's a female colleague. The opposite gender certainly work a lot better, but it can be a male, it can be anyone. It can be transgenders, all of those, anything. Gender doesn't matter. So yes, I have a 3 a.m. friend, which I won't tell who it is.
What's your approach to making peace with unresolved emotions?
There is no peace with unresolved emotions. You have to resolve it. They will stay and keep beating. People pursue land cases for 20 years. The emotion is not resolved. I will not leave you. That land value is nothing. The unfairness is deep. There's no unresolved emotions. Two Bollywood actors, Bollywood I can name, Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, if you are not from Bollywood, fought for so many years. They had to resolve it 6 years later. Years they thought resolved, they didn't see each other's face. They still were angry at each other. Resolve it, there's no other way. You can't make peace with unresolved. But resolve it and then it's quick, you get over it. That's the best thing to do.
Sure, with that, I'm opening it up for questions. I know you have a question. Please go ahead. Oh my God, so many hands. Let's see how quickly we can get to everyone.
Audible? Yeah.
Yes.
My ears are so sharp, I am audible even without a mic. So yes, no.
Okay. So my question is, first of all, thank you so much for bringing us some practical tips on how to manage our emotions. Second thing is, so different people have a different way of showing emotion.
Yes.
So let's say I have a colleague whose father is admitted to a hospital. He's going through a tough time. Some people will show up at work like, I know everything, I will put on a strong face. Some people will not have a good day and they will acknowledge it. So how do I as a colleague help them be themselves or give them the space to be themselves? That's my
Great question. First, your empathy shows that you're willing to think about others. Itself a great thing. So appreciate you maintaining this quality. You cannot help someone that doesn't need your help. Would you agree with that? Somebody is silent. No, I want to help you. No, no, no. Now you'll have a new emotion and that person will have a new emotion. First, the person should want help from you. The ones that show artificially strong face will show a weak face somewhere else. That is not the right way, so leave them out. The ones that are showing the weak face, etc., if they need your help, be that supporting colleague. If you can be a 3 a.m. friend to them, they should trust you, of course. Be that. If not, listening. The best gift you can give someone in his emotions is a patient ear. How many agree? Just listen to me and don't judge me. Don't immediately say, tu faltu hai, tu ye hai. The prior speaker spoke about slut shaming. No, 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 don't. They just want to listen to me. I'm going through something. If you can do this much, you solved the problem for those.
Thank you.
They will come to you. They will identify you. In life, always problems come to you. You don't have to go. How many agree? They'll come to you, don't worry. Again, this is not a problem. I mean, they'll
I'm
come
going to take a question from my left last row. The gentleman there, please. Can I please take a question from the gentleman? I'm just trying to be very open to diversity here.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Hey,
Yes.
Raja, thank you for such a nice session. Quick question. I think you said the emotion goes away in a minute, and if you really know what your senses are. But we all work in corporate. There are days where it is very, very difficult, and then that disturbs the sleep pattern. Like you still keep thinking, and you're not able to sleep, and you know that the things happened, the incident happened, something not because of you, but because of things that are outside of your control. Knowing that, you still keep thinking. How do you stop thinking? How do you come out of it and then sleep? Like you said, one of the biggest things is you need to sleep. So help us resolving that. Thank you.
So those No, thank you for that question, and thank you for walking all the way to, to ask that question. So first is you'll have to release it, like I mentioned. You'll have to first identify back to what I answered, which is your best and strongest sense organ, and release it from there. So that technique doesn't change. However, 3-4 techniques are common for all. Please don't access your cell phone an hour before sleep. It is now almost proven that that's a big damage. A wonderful WhatsApp, even if it is a positive smiley, is not going to do good for your sleep. If it's possible, keep the phone outside your room when you're sleeping. Otherwise, those rays, etc., don't have a super positive impact on sleep. Point 2. And point 3, don't fight before sleep. That's the easiest way to damage the whole thing, actually. I will answer more nuanced thing once we meet in the interest of giving time to others, but releasing the way mentioned here is just about the only way to do. Your thought for 6 hours, you can kill it with some of these techniques. I'll talk to you one-on-one after the session is over.
I'm going on my right-hand side, the lady raising her hands. Can you please be loud and can you please be quick on your question? Yes.
You were, frustrated or you were not happy with it, but it's your own brainchild, right? So how would you have dealt with it better at that point in time? Because in life, we also face situations wherein we worked hard to reach a position, and then after that, we start feeling that, is it okay? I'm not very happy with it, so yeah.
My situation is that, thank you for that question. My situation is a little different. I wanted to be there. It's just that I was kind of burnt out. Today, when I look back, the emotions would be, burnout. Burnout is where you don't enjoy your life anymore. So that's a different situation that I went through. But to answer your question, you make a great point. Sometimes we work very hard only to find that the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, actually. That is that the question that you're asking, that I don't want to be here? One is identify the exact emotions, and not just happiness or sadness or whatever that you mentioned. Go deeper. Find out where it is coming from the way I mentioned. Release it again using the same techniques, whatever be the case. And then from there you go deeper. What I can do for you specifically, since you asked, if you meet me outside, I will do it for you in 5 minutes. At the end of the 5th minute, you can tell me how you're feeling right now. Do it and then you can do it the rest for yourself. It's just the same 4 I'll do. I'll do it as an external person for you. If you open up and talk to me, that's it.
Okay, Raja doesn't have bodyguards, okay? So I want to make sure that he's safe when he's walking out. I'm going to take a question from Lady in Red.
Procrastination is a tertiary emotion. Underneath it, you don't want to do something, something disturbed you is there. Underneath it will be some emotion, etc. Back to school. Everything in life that is external has got an emotion. You'll have to put some efforts to see what that emotion is and identify on that flywheel which I showed, etc., on that which one it is. Once you know what it is, then you can release it. Please note the reason to identify emotion. If you release a wrong emotion, you create a new problem. Because what is there, a new problem got created, which is why identifying that matters a lot. So procrastination is an outcome of one of the primary emotions that existed, and that is not allowing you to do the work required, and that's why you're procrastinating on an ongoing basis. So there are techniques for that. One I will tell you though, the chopping board part of the hand, this section, yeah, the one that you're touching right now, has certain chemicals and certain neural connections that go to the part of the brain responsible for action/inaction. You can rub, tap. Tapping like this is equal to tapping. Now you don't do this one, the brain goes back and forth. This is safer. After a few moments, you'll spur yourself into action. If you meet me after that lady, I will do it for you. I won't do it for you. You will have to do it, but I'll tell you how to do it actually. I once did a session, time is up, where I said, if you give a gentle hug to someone, the person feels good. Till here it was good. Some guy went on hugging all the females. I said, not romantic hug, just working hug, etc. So interpret the right way. So I'll do it for you and you tell me how you feel after that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, audience, you were super, super great. I know we are between you and lunch. So Raja's going to be available, Raja, if you're okay. And
very much.
I'm just worried that you don't have a bodyguard, but saying that,
I
thank
need
you
one,
so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you too, Raja. You were
Thank
awesome.
you. All the best to you.